Yeah, I don't know, like, just feels like there's too much of a space between the O and D.
Have you been to Hollywood?
Never been.
So you've been to
So
Paris,
I've
but
been
not
to
to Hollywood.
Paris. Yeah, I've actually, well, I went to North America for work and didn't really get time to go to Hollywood. But when I went to Europe, that was for a holiday. Part of it was a holiday anyway.
This is my holiday.
This is your holiday.
This is where no place I'd rather be than right here.
Right here on Hollywood, in Overwatch Contenders Australia, with your best friend Elfishguy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Nailed it.
There we go. All right, it's ground zero, starting off on the defense first. Once again, we do have some DPS shenanigans from Melbourne Mavericks. It worked pretty well on the first point of Paris. Maybe they can translate that onto the first point of Hollywood as well.
I think Ground Zero missed a beat here by not starting on the Ana. You should know that there's going to be DPS compositions coming up, but it's interesting to see what Dalsu can do with this Zenyatta.
Well,
he's
he's
a very
building
proficient
trans.
aimer.
He's up to 27% already, totally outpacing everyone else on his team. Look at this, 44% already for Dalsu. He's really pumping the damage out
Looks like
right
he's really
now.
putting the hurt on Davey, dropping incredibly low there. He's the only tank, and Nami goes down to a headshot from Mercedes, so that Hanzo does a deceptive amount of damage and fires very quickly.
Indeed.
Tanks can be quite the easy target for him. He's almost up to his Dragon Strike.
Well, money's dropped low as well and has been hacked. Looks like to be getting out of there okay. Gus with the dive on through, and here comes a Dragon Strike. Money! He gets Mercedes. Maybe there's a turnaround available still here for Ground Zero, but it's going to have to come off the back of maybe Dalsu getting this Transcendence up. He's at 82%. If he goes down now, I think it's going to be all said and done. Nami has rejoined the fight, but we're getting mighty close, and Transcendence now is available. So, Dalsu will invest it, and maybe, just maybe, Ground Zero can stabilize off the back of this. Mini gets sent forward with the charge. It's dropped very low, and no one's dealing with QVN at this point, so for him it's kind of just free reign, and the Rocket Barrage is now online.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he tries to use the barrage solo or does wait for the EMP. Almost demeching Gus though. He would love to get that before he gets his barrage out. He does get it. This is where the barrage will come out.
I don't even know if he necessarily needs it at this point. Does actually invest it. Nami will shut him down. A nice right click on through, and it still isn't going to be clean enough for Melbourne Mavericks to cap the point out. They're definitely winning this fight, although I say that. Things may have just turned around. Mini misses the shatter, but we'll just charge on straight through. Nidus is going to drop this well, and Melbourne Mavericks somehow, in all of that, didn't actually manage to cap the point.
Yeah, Mini with the Observer Curse once more. As soon as the camera's on him, ultimate in the bin. But anyway, going forward, they do have the EMP and the Dragon Strike coming out. We saw how easier, it was much easier once Nami got back from that early death. Getting energy, as soon as he gets energy, it's a lot easier to defend against these DPS heroes.
Yeah, that's a nice EMP down. 4 players collected. Money and Dalsu did avoid it, but neither have their ultimate available. Money's getting pretty close, though. Graviton Surge will be thrown in from Nami, and that will mean the end of Davey. The 2 flyers still harass Ground Zero, hiding away in that cafe. The trouble is for Melbourne Mavericks that they can continually contest this point. Self-destruct through, won't do a whole lot.
Another barrage comes out. He's barraged the cafe door. He gets the sound. No, he doesn't get the sound barrier. That's the enemy sound barrier coming through. Again, barrage on this map. We've seen it 3 times. We saw it yesterday as well. It's very hard to get value out of because everyone just runs into that little cafe and hides.
Yeah. So, Melbourne Mavericks. Are we going to continue here with the...
Looks like they're going to the bunker composition. QVN. Okay, so they are going for a similar composition to what Atletico was running yesterday. They have the Hanzo instead of the Torbjorn. He might be going back to swap, not sure. No, it looks like Nidus is... No, surely Nidus doesn't swap 91% of it. Yep, he's gone Reaper. Alright, that's something.
It's not
the solo support, Lucio.
I don't know.
Alright, the clown shoes have been equipped.
Alright. I'll get my fake nose on as well. It's a nice hook though onto Duboy, but defense matrix is there from Gus, who also will receive the nano boost and is going to put some free damage into Crimson Wolf. This will be some nice early self-destruct charging from Gusto in this fight, and looks like he's managed to build it up there with only 10 seconds on the clock. Melbourne Mavericks having been fully wiped.
Yeah, they're not going to try to get
believe
back
that this is going to go much further than point A on Hollywood.
Jordan, if you play silly games, you win silly prizes, and the silly prize this round is a full hold.
Yeah.
Because they certainly played a silly game with that last-minute Reaper pick coming out.
Yeah. Yep. We said Silly Sunday was over. What is it now? Monday Madness?
It is the Monday Madness.
Melbourne Mavericks Monday Madness. There you go. How about some alliteration for you? 93% is basically what they got.
Yeah, it's either winnable.
I mean, it technically
winnable,
is
Jordan.
defendable.
Winnable.
Technically, yes. Realistically? No, I don't think so.
Nah. I'd like to see Ground Zero try speedrun this. First attack. Get in, get Nami juiced up.
Yep.
Burn down some 200 HP heroes. You love to see it.
I can't remember what the fastest game actually was.
Mavericks First Order Season 3.
You reckon?
Yeah, they only won a handful of team fights over the whole
Actually, I
series.
do remember that. Yeah,
that was a ridiculously
I also
fast
felt like Sydney dropped Bear's Tainted Minds in one of the
One of
original
the early
seasons.
yeah.
First season was a very, very fast series. But I don't think this is quite as quick.
No, that Order series ordered Melbourne Mavericks a few seasons back. That was a...
Like 30 minutes or so, something like that.
Yeah, I remember putting the headset down to do the vacuuming while the boys were playing and couldn't even get the living room done before the game was over.
Gosh, first world problems, Smash. First world problems.
It was horrible.
Couldn't even get the vacuuming done.
Anyway, this is a good comp from the Melbourne Mavericks. I would have liked to have seen this literally everywhere. I think this is it's a composition that's tried and tested, sorry.
Pretty straightforward to execute.
Yeah, it's not the hardest to execute, so there's not a lot of wriggle room. Just keep your supports alive, and then do lots of damage with your Roadhog and Orisa.
Okay, Nami is going to jump onto Ashe. I love to see it. I actually do enjoy watching Ashe.
I think she's a very fun hero. Very rewarding when you hit those big dynamites, you get your little bobs out easy. It's very
Send
fun.
bobs,
Exactly.
All that.
Takes out the turret. Oh, and he takes Kazet out too. That's a beautiful dynamite with the damage boost.
Shield just goes down for a second too long. The wall will come up, but Nami just going to try and strafe around, look for some more damage. Gets the headshot onto QVN. In the meanwhile, though, Gus has fallen, having some trouble collecting the dynamite proc, but that doesn't really matter too much, as Duboy is putting some real damage in with those rockets. Up to 71% of the barrage will eventually drop to QVN. God knows how. Looks like it was a headshot, maybe. Whatever the case, that wasn't ideal for Ground Zero, but they are still in full control of this point. And it is only Kazet here to cause some problems for them. So, really, it feels like a matter of time.
First fight, easy win, map over. And you'd like to see Duboy back on the Pharah too. There's something he was really good at when he played for Pixel Esports way back in the early seasons of Contenders as well. So he'll be happy being back on that hero. I know it's a comfort hero. I know that learning Breach for him was a little bit of a challenge. So seeing him back on the Pharah, if they can keep that going on, good stuff for Ground Zero.
Good stuff indeed. And congratulations, Ground Zero, winning the series 3-0. It's taken about 40 minutes. And we still have one more map to go, but I'm not so sure that it's going to last too long, quite frankly, Smash. This has been a very, very one-sided performance. It doesn't fill you with a lot of hope for this new Melbourne Mavericks roster heading on forward. That said, I guess as Melbourne Mavericks at this point, really what you have to take from this is that, look, it is first week. We've not had time to practice at all, so let's just write this one off in a sense, right? Just completely ignore this, forget about this result. It happens. And now we have to look forward to next week and whoever we're facing in subsequent weeks and really crack hard, because there's a lot of work to be done in the next few weeks for Melbourne Mavericks if they're going to be in the discussion this season. And certainly would be a fall from grace from being a top 4 team to potentially at this point looking like, I would have to say, the weakest team in Overwatch Contenders this season.
Yeah, of course. I don't think they'll be too disheartened by this loss. Again, those big roster shuffles, obviously they haven't got a lot of strategy planned, so I think that will be like their idea of going into this game. It will be a learning curve. It will be about getting some teamwork up, maybe having a little bit of fun. They look like they're having fun. So, that's the good way to relax, get to know your teammates a bit better, write this week off, come back next week, get ready to fight.
I know it sounds so easy when we say it, but I think it might be a little bit more
it's difficult.
Icy in the comms right now for Melbourne Mavericks. If you're sitting in that server and, you're playing this game out and nothing's working and, I don't think there'll be too much fun being had regardless of what they're doing. Certainly a nice turnaround though for Ground Zero. I mean, if you talk about the negatives for Melbourne Mavericks, it's the complete opposite for Ground Zero. For every negative there's a massive positive for the Ground Zero guys who were down 0-4 in week 1. They lost to Mind Freak. They had I would say an okay series for having lost 0-4. It was closer than maybe the scoreline would dictate. But this is the bounce back that they need, especially from last season as well, when for Ground Zero, for not this exact roster, but at least for Dalsu who comes through, it was a pretty disappointing season, and obviously a disappointing start to this season. But this is much better, 3-0. Now let's lock in the 4-0, because we all know that is what is possible today.
Yeah, Ground Zero needs to not get baited into joining Mavericks on the silly side of life and really finish this map off, because, they get the 4 map wins this week. That means they're back square one. Dead even. And that's where, not where you want to be after week 1, but after the start they had, it's, you know, the best they can hope for.
Yeah, look, for Ground Zero, I think at this point it's just to try and make it into playoffs. You know, that's what they need to be doing here. It's not a case of, yeah, let's try and take 1 or 2 or, you know, straight through into semis or anything like that. Let's just make sure we get to playoffs. Because from there, anything really is possible, especially given the growth that Ground Zero may be able to show us. Anyway, we go on to Rialto, and it typically has been Escort where we've seen those upsets happen, where we've seen if a team has lost to Series 3 and 0, this is where they bring it back, either Dorado last week or Rialto this week. For Melbourne Mavericks, I have to say, I will be pretty impressed if they can turn this series around into at least a 3-1.
I think it will be a very big accomplishment if they manage to do that. Doesn't look like Ground Zero is getting silly with it. They're running out on a Sombra Goats composition, very powerful on this point. Gus can abuse the high grounds early to get really big ult charge, especially if they're going to run that bunker composition, which doesn't look like they're going to. Who knows what Mavericks are going to pick. But at this stage, we know that there's going to be a Sombra on the board and Ana on the board, so they're expecting DPS on the side of Ground Zero, and I think they're going to read this one correctly. I want to see Money go for a knockoff here. I want to see him go for 2.
2, alright. What does he get if he gets 2?
Firm handshake.
We'll start calling him the Big Boops all season.
Frogger no longer #1 Lucio in Australia. It will be. Here he goes.
Never was, quite frankly.
Oh boy, he's really stuffed that one up.
Literally could not have gone worse for Money.
Yep, that's an absolute disaster.
It is indeed. Actually might be a disaster for the rest of the team as well. Mercedes pushing forward on this Reaper and gets some nice tags onto Dalsu. Will finish him off, and geez, that has really fallen by the wayside. So you talked about not wanting to see Ground Zero fall into Melbourne Mavericks' madness, and that certainly seems like exactly what has happened.
Yeah, interesting strategy there. Dalsu caught a little far up on the low ground, and Juboy swaps onto the Pharah.
Why not at this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, Mavericks don't really have anything to deal with him. Crimson's out of mech. Nidus is really the only thing. When Money's a powerful Mercy player too.
Powerful gamer.
He's a very powerful gamer.
Absolutely. Well, Kazette, he's going to cop a couple of rockets right in the face. Nami will also chime in there onto QVN. The DPS swap seems to have worked quite nicely for Ground Zero. This point in particular providing a lot of space for not only Duboy, but angles for Nami. And Gus has built the EMP up as well. So Mercedes, well, try and do his best with this Reaper. Oh my god. Not sure what to say about that one. That feels bad.
Yeah. Hopefully it's going to swap. I think he's going to swap the Widow here. I think he's going to take this Widow.
I hope so.
I think this is what he's been waiting for. Come on.
Oh, smash.
Oh, yeah.
Why you've got to do him like that?
Oh, he had to swap to the Widow. He's been picking Widow all series. Picks it on Nepal. He has to pick it on Rialto, and Nami goes Widow. There's a Pharah on the field too. Surely. This is his chance. This is his time to shine.
We sort of said that on Nepal and Paris as well.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't be wrong 3 times in a row. Lightning doesn't strike 3 times.
Believe me, I've been wrong more than that. Anyway, Nami, for the first time, I think, is actually going to be taking this Widowmaker duel. We haven't really seen much of it on both sides. Certainly, Mercedes has been keen to pick it up and hitting some shots. But the structure just isn't really there from Melbourne Mavericks to capitalize on them. Gus is looking for an EMP here and will get it only onto the 3 players, but it's enough for Duboy to jump straight in there with the rocket barrage, and even with Mercedes just peppering him in the head, there was the nano boost and of course the heals coming through as well. And Duboy survived. The rest of Melbourne Mavericks of course did not. That'll be another fight that should be pretty clean for Ground Zero here.
Yeah, Duboy must have. I don't know what that helmet's made out of, but they're quite strong. I haven't seen metal that tough in a while. But also, in all seriousness, very good job to keep him up through the Widow headshots. Dalsu just nano boosting him, chain healing him. Might have even got the grenade on him at one point for that extra healing. And Duboy swaps off the Pharah onto the Brigitte. That's probably a more sensible pick. As we see Mini going in with the mines, and it does clean up Mercedes, and is he going to get out of there too?
Yes.
Or maybe no, he's in the drink. He's in the drink.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not much to really talk about. Yeah, I don't think at this point for Melbourne Mavericks, although that is a bit of an interesting pick onto Nami. Not sure what he was doing there. Transcendence is here for money. Going to have to use that to survive through the self-destruct. It's not really going to help Dalsu. And in fact, actually, this might be the moment where Melbourne Mavericks do finally push on through point A. Getting some advantages. Money does manage to peg back onto QVN, but Brigitte on the other side will fall. It's Dewboy into the drink. The sound barrier down for Melbourne Mavericks will allow them to push on forward. And finally, Ground Zero have been routed on point A, but it wasn't without a lot of effort from Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, I don't think Mercedes has headshot Nami yet. It's just been body shot, so I'm going to 0-0 on the Widowmaker duel so far. Not going to count them. And Nami does swap up. So, okay, so Ground Zero going back to a fundamental, you know, one of their more practiced comps with this Sombra 3-3 or 3-2. Melbourne Mavericks have transitioned over onto the... Oh, God, get off the Reaper. He transitioned onto this bunker composition once more. Davey on the Roadhog instead of the Orisa, though, so it's a bit of a wacky one.
MP is good, hits 4 players. Mercedes onto Reaper again to try and put some damage in. Going to chase down Money. Maybe not the wisest of decisions because Money is quite a slippery character, but some good shots there from Mercedes. Perhaps won't survive too much longer to really crow about it, however, as he will be chased down by the Ground Zero players. And there's 3 players dropping very quickly indeed for Melbourne Mavericks as well. And the push comes on forward from Ground Zero. They do want to stagger this. They really don't want to be wasting too much more time here on Rialto by the looks of things.
No, they're looking to end this one early. Gus throws out that big EMP. Unfortunately, he's forced to translocate because he was a bit scared of the hook, I think, coming in from Davey. But fortunately enough, he managed to escape with his life, and his team were able to capitalize. Dewboy gets hooked in. Big shot. No, he mistimes it, but the QVN Torbjorn goes down, and Davey will soon follow, I believe.
He's still surviving. He's got a whole hog available. In fact, actually, Ground Zero might have made a mistake not finishing him off here because this whole hog could be very devastating. Breaks the shield of Mini. Somehow Ground Zero do get out of that one alive. The shatter across now from Mini, and that perhaps will be the nail in the coffin. Although the kills maybe not as clean from Mini as they would have liked. Does get 2, and that is enough.
He actually managed to shatter the Diva Bomb there, which stopped the momentum of it, like flying over the top of the cart, which means he probably saved a few lives there. Dalsu playing that Ana isn't the most mobile, probably would have taken the L to that Diva Bomb. So, you know, he saved a mate, killed 2, fight 1. But now this is going to get really difficult. They've got the whole, everything they could ever want now on the side of Ground Zero, and Gus forced to relocate early, but Money's knocked QVN into the...
This EMP is going to be a big one as well. Does collect a few Melbourne Mavericks players. Not that it was even entirely necessary at that point. I felt like Melbourne Mavericks were already losing the fight. I suppose with 10 seconds left on the board, you might as well throw everything in. Money... Did he just get cancelled?
Yeah, he got his beat drop cancelled there by the sleep dart from Nidus, I believe.
Doesn't look like it's going to come to cost Ground Zero too much. Graviton Sturge onto the point is going to catch Kazette. QVN stuck behind it. And Mini will be pulled into the canal. But Davey's asleep on the bridge. Not a huge push out there from Melbourne Mavericks. Maybe defendable if they can hold it at point A.
Yeah, I mean, point A can be quite hard to capture. So maybe there is a chance there. But judging off their compositions, they like the shotguns. And shotguns are not very good into Brig Armor, unfortunately. Dewey just selects the Brigitte hero, and all of a sudden, 2 heroes disappear on the side of Melbourne Mavericks.
Oh, it sounds so easy.
It almost is, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Well, good opportunity indeed for Ground Zero to wrap this one up at 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they did get a little bit silly there, but the game is going a bit unexpected. Yeah, it's going a bit that way, so they're joining in on the fun. Money caught himself in a 1v1 with Nidus that he lost very badly. In fact, he got styled upon as his beat drop got cancelled.
Yeah. Ah, well, it happens.
What?
Let's just pretend we didn't see it.
Surely not. Surely the Melbourne Mavericks don't wait until the 11th hour to roll out.
Wait, you mean like Blank did last season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't really want to talk about that. That was a bit of a disaster for the side of Blank Esports. They ran into a brick wall at that point, but that's all right. They'll bounce back, and they look good this season. We'll see them in the next game, and under the new Warriors banner. That's going to be an absolute ripper.
At least we hope. Oh, this is a bit cheeky from the Mavs.
This is a legitimate strategy. Finland, actually in the World Cup group stages, were the first team to really put this into play, where they'd contest Rialto super early, and they managed to take so much time off the clock, and everyone was so inspired they started doing it themselves.
Is Melbourne Mavericks going to be able to execute it as well as Finland did? No pin there for Davey, so game is up for Melbourne Mavericks, and Ground Zero are aware of the shenanigans. That's where now the job gets a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, despite being aware, it can be quite hard to push them off this, though. Crimson might go down here. If he loses his mech, this is really awful. He gets bailed out. Okay, that's fine. But this can buy time off the clock.
Stun there onto Cassette, but he'll survive. You're right, they are buying some time, but now is when Ground Zero will decide to pull the trigger straight into a Davey charge. But what a bio-nade from Dalsu. Hits Davey, Crimson, and QVN. It's going to mean Davey will fall. And Melbourne Mavericks certainly suffering for it. Looks like Crimson's got a bead onto Duboy. A lot of damage in there from him. Still a trade 1-for-1. His 1-for-1s, however, much more favourable for Ground Zero than for Melbourne Mavericks. They have the spawn right here. Sooner or later, by sheer war of attrition, they are going to be able to push this payload forward.
Mini map knocks Kazetta off the map with the charge and pins Dalsu, and that will finish it off. But there we go. It's a bit of time off the clock. About a minute 10. That's what you like to see, and they'll be able to get probably 3 contests here if they're fast, but it looks like with the spawns being so slow, they'll only get 2. They do have the Diva Bomb to lead themselves in here. If they can get that off before the EMP is cast, it can be big value. The thing about EMP is it's great when everyone hasn't used their abilities, but if you've already used your abilities, it doesn't do much. Oh, he's going to get the pick on Nidus here. That's good communication. Yeah, very good indeed, and makes life a little bit easier for Ground Zero coming in this fight, although they have lost Mini and Nami, so that's a little bit less than ideal. Looks like they're going to be forced to back off and reset, rethink here. They do get that Diva Bomb off, and Crimson managed to get 2 in the fight to win it. But now they have to think about how they're going to handle this EMP coming through. Transcendence so close on the side of Melbourne Mavericks. That's what they're going to need to counter this.
Is Gus going to be able to find Nidus?
I think the EMP Earth Shatter is the combo they want to put out here, and they do. They managed to catch Davey as well, and the Transcendence comes out, but QVN will die straight through it. Yeah, wasn't able to catch Nidus, but it doesn't seem to have made too much of a difference to the survivability of Melbourne Mavericks. Even the Transcendence could not keep QVN up. Ground Zero are fairly comfortably winning this fight. No single pick for Melbourne Mavericks thus far. Nami hanging on to the Graviton Surge as well is good news, and it looks like Crimson Wolf will be staggered. Not too much, but just a little bit. And they are going to get this 3rd fight in, I believe. Being the last one to die, Crimson Wolf, one of the faster heroes to get back, that's a good thing on the side of Melbourne Mavericks. It means they'll be able to regroup. They will be able to get a cart touch in if they want it. But Nami, will he go for the C9 grab? The Sleep Dart comes in. Throw it, Nami, come on. He won't need to, it doesn't look like. No, actually, just actually get on the touch. 0.74 meters available. Both grabs are thrown through. That's a nice Earth Shatter down from Davey, and it should be enough to actually hold the point here. 1 minute left on the clock now, and Ground Zero, you have to start raising some concerns here. Where have they been? Where has this Melbourne Mavericks been for the last 35 minutes? Where has the 3-3 been? Where has it been? I called it out. I said they might have more success on this composition. It's a little easier to play. Everyone knows how to execute it. You know, the fundamentals will be there, and they've shown that already. Now is the rough fight though. QVN, the only fight he has the rally. He needs to get that off before Gus uses his ult. It's the same deal as the Diva Bomb. Get that off before, you know, you have a chance to win the fight. But if you don't get it off, the Gus going to get caught here. Yeah, I was going to say that translocator maybe a little bit too close for comfort. Still, EMP was built up, and we're going to get a hack onto the health kit. We are. QVN did use the rally though, so they won't have that. Nidus rapidly building this Transcendence, but here it comes. That was a little bit ballsy, but the shadow comes through from Mini. What a combo from Ground Zero. Well, talking about worrying maybe about not getting point A, that doesn't seem to be a concern at all for Ground Zero. They have absolutely steamrolled Melbourne Mavericks in this fight. Yeah, Nidus so close to getting that Transcendence. Unfortunately, he just gets clipped by the EMP. There goes his shields, and down he goes. And now they'll get the staggers as well, and this might spell close to the end of the map. It's going to be hard for the side of Melbourne Mavericks to get that recontest in now. Or a clean one at least. They're going to look like they're going to be pressured to do it. Now, Nami has the Graviton Surge again. We didn't see him go for it on the first point, at the end of the first point, but if he has the presence of mind here, he'll know that he can grab the guys that are about to touch cart, and they can just win the map off that. Like, if he grabs this Reinhardt now, no chance. Holding off on it. He's chickened out. Nidus will come in with the Transcendence to back his boys up, but Mini with the Graviton Surge, the EMP, it's a blender. Everything. He gets the Nano Boost, there's 5 ultimates dropped in the fight, and that's going to be the win for the side of Ground Zero Gaming. Yeah, I suppose when you know that you have got the Reinhardt with the Nano Boost to kind of follow up on that Graviton Surge, you might as well make sure you get a few people in it as opposed to grabbing them off the card or anything silly like that. Yeah. It's just going to be an absolute mincemeat at that point. As was pretty much this entire series, Ground Zero really
running amok. It's great to see for Ground Zero, certainly, but the building blocks, I don't know if they're necessarily there for the Melbourne Mavericks just yet. We have to wait maybe until week 3 before we get to see much success for this newer Melbourne Mavericks roster.
Yeah, no, I want to see Melbourne Mavericks come out next week. Play a bit more 3-3, maybe experiment with a Sombra or a May or something. They don't have to play 3-3 in its entirety, but try and shelve the DPS compositions now. They are a little harder to pull off. They take a lot of coordination. That's why you see teams like the Warriors who have good communication, good experience on DPS heroes. They can pull it off, but I'm not sure that the side of Melbourne Mavericks have the years under their belt to do it.
Yeah, that was look, a few questionable moments I think there for Melbourne Mavericks. They looked a lot better when they did actually get onto that 3-3 composition. So I will echo your thoughts. I would say I think that is the way that Melbourne Mavericks should be going with this. That said, it's definitely good signs for Ground Zero being able to bounce back from last week, looking pretty solid. Mini had a few moments, but nothing that was particularly poor, really, and he actually had some pretty good moments as well. So I think across the board, certainly a lot more consistency was showed this week by Ground Zero than what we saw from them last week, and I'm sure that may be as a result of the fact that they're versing a weaker opponent, but, that kind of can be a bit of a benefit in some instances if you get that confidence going through into next week. I don't know who they're versing next week, but let's just say it's someone like Order, maybe, who are perhaps down on their confidence after having lost to Atletico. Ground Zero up on their confidence. Who knows what could happen.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, at the end of the day, you've still got to win the game. The game isn't won for you until the end, and that's what you saw with Order versus Atletico. Order failed to, capitalize and win the game. They kind of just went through the motions, and you get punished for going through the motions in Overwatch. It's a team game. It takes coordination. If there's a team playing better than you, they're definitely going to win.
Yeah, they certainly are, and I mean that is the case for Ground Zero today. Yeah, look, I don't know really what Melbourne Mavericks are going to be able to take from that one. It was definitely a difficult series for them. Hopefully there's something more to be said maybe next week.
No, well, I mean, what they can take from that is the attack on the defense on Rialto, where they played 3-3. They centered themselves around Davey.
Yeah.
Davey, loud vocal, experienced player. Center yourself around him. He's made LAN. He's been consistent performer. They're building the team around him. Rebuild the team around him.
All right, Smash. I know you've been waiting for this moment. You've been waiting your whole life for this one.
I love these.
It's time for another Macca's Play of the Game. Macca's Play of the Game from this series is going to be Duboy on the far.
Yeah, unfortunately we have him getting shot in the head several times here, but it is a good little replay. It shows good coordination between the Dalsu Ana and the Duboy Farah. We're coming in, pocketing him.
Honestly, I kind of feel like you have to give that one to Dalsu it away, because Duboy, he's just sitting there. He's just pressed Q. He's like not doing anything. Dalsu's had to shoot him with all the Ana. I don't know what they are, darts, I suppose.
They are darts, yeah.
The nano boost and everything. He's really kept them alive, and I'm pretty happy.
No, give it to Dalsu. So it wasn't Duboy, boys. That was Dalsu for that one.